morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. Welcome back to the Since I Was Young podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian, episode 69. See, it's been a little, it's such an anticlimax. Literally, with the utter snooze fest that was that game. Was it on Friday night, but we digress. Anyhow, yeah, so that will be your whole fun about the podcast this evening. So yeah, obviously we're going to talk a bit about the game. It was a 1-0 win over St.Mirren at Tynecastle on a Friday night, which was great to see. Was it to take away all 3 points? We'll talk a bit about that. Obviously, we will talk about the new the guys that have come through the door in terms of transfers as well, which was lovely to see. We'll do a bit of a chat a bit about the farce that is VAR and what the handball rule actually is, because I think everybody doesn't have an absolute clue. And then we'll wrap things off with a small a preview with the fourth upcoming games, which is Aberdeen during the week, specifically on Wednesday night. You mentioned Alan, and also we've got the Scottish Cup as well at the weekend at Easter Road, which will be very interesting. So that's going to be your a podcast for tonight. So we do hope you enjoy it. And as always, guys, if you aren't subscribed, please think about subscribing. And if you want to get in contact with us via our socials as well, please feel free. They are in the description and on screen if you feel like checking that out. So thank you very much, guys. So Alan, honestly, like that game stripped me of my fucking sanity. Literally one of the most boring games, like literally, like one of the, like in terms like of a spectator's was a point of view, was hardly was it like a classic. But we can start on a bit more of like of a positive note. So obviously before the actual game itself, we had all three. Was it new? Was it transfer through January? All on the bench or starting as well. So we had Hill from Bournemouth straight. Where? Bournemouth straight in to the team, and on the bench we also had the Cool and Utaro. So with the was it with the starting was a lineup. Like I said before, we had Hill starting in the back line. So what were your all thoughts? Was do you think he like he had a good like sort of start to his was it career? Was it in a Heart shirt?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he was fantastic. We're talking about new signings, and we said before that a defender is important, obviously with Halkett being out, and as yet no sign of Kingsley, which is a problem. But yeah, he seems to fit the bill. James Hill, he came in, as you say, from Bournemouth. They only signed him for £1 million last year, I think it was, or I can't remember if it was this season or last season, but anyway, it was £1 million from Fleetwood that they bought him for. Young, capped at England under 21 level, described himself as an aggressive defender that likes the ball at his feet, and I think we saw a bit of that against St Mirren. He looks good. I was very impressed, and considering like of the new arrivals, they'd only been there for what 48 hours or
Yeah.
something. To come in on the, I'm sure it was the Wednesday that they signed, either the Tuesday or the Wednesday that they signed, and then obviously they're playing on the Friday night, which was really impressive. I said it to you that I had a feeling he would start. I didn't expect to see Oda or Cool in the first 11, but I
No.
thought at least one of them would be on the bench. But yeah, no, James Cool, he looked good. He's also spoken a lot about, he did an interview when he first arrived talking about, using Hearts as a bit of a stepping stone to get him to where he wants to be, which, obviously I've watched him play now and I'm like, yeah, do you know what? You look good for a first game. But I had this conversation with a few people that the idea of a player coming out and talking about us being a stepping stone is a little bit, I feel a little bit uneasy about that. I don't know what you think, but to me, it's a
Uh,
bit like you're just in the door, mate. Like, let's wait and see.
No, like I can understand it from your point of view as well, but like you could arguably say the same thing. I mean, I'm not sure if you used the exact words with stepping stone, but you could argue that Cammy Devlin is
Yeah,
kind of using Hearts to take like the next step, like in his was career. I mean, like don't was get me wrong. Like I don't have any gripes like about what you're saying in the terms of it's. I wouldn't maybe go as far as to say it's disrespectful, but I know like kind of where you're coming from, and plus as well, he's not a player that we're like even if he plays like outstanding every single game from now like in until the end of was it like of the season, like he's obviously not going to be a player that we're going to be able to afford even if we did and we want him. So in that
yeah,
sense, like as long as he doesn't say
yeah,
like like oh like I couldn't get a game like it had was it like it had was it at Bournemouth, so I'm just was it going to play here. So like as long
yeah,
as he like sort of was it plays well, I mean you could argue again that it's the same circumstances for Kerrang like sort of cool as well. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't. It's one of those things. Like, I understand why he thinks like that, and I get that. Like, I'm not saying it was wrong of him to say it, and I'm not saying it's wrong of him to think it, because, as you say, he's not playing for Bournemouth just now, so he needs the minutes, and he wants
mm,
to, probably get the minutes for us, and then kick on and go back to Bournemouth, which is absolutely fine. But it's just not the impression I would have given off if it was me in my very
I get
first
you. Yeah.
interview. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I get
I
you
don't
though.
have a
Yeah.
problem with him. I don't have a problem with him doing it. I don't have a problem with him saying it. It's just like, maybe just keep that bit to yourself and just come in and play. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
It's
in that
Put it this way.
sense,
He didn't give me off. He's not giving me off Jimmy Dunn vibes. Put it that way.
oh for fuck's sake. Well, in that first pot as well, Alan, what would be your like your sort of was it statement like if you got signed for Hearts, like in terms of what was it like if you were in the same was it circumstances like it's him? What would your like sort of first thoughts be?
It's difficult. Obviously, I can't put myself in that position because I'd love to be, but it's I understand why he's here. Put it that way. But and if it's going to help him, play as well as he did against St. Mirren every week, I'm not going to complain. But there's just a little bit of niggling in me that I'm like, mate, with all due respect, you've played for Fleetwood and Bournemouth. Hearts get greater average attendances than both of those teams every week.
True. Yeah.
So, the Bournemouth Stadium, I think, is only about 12,000 seats or something.
As yeah.
So, I'm not saying we're a bigger club than Bournemouth because that's, they're a Premier League side. But I just, yeah. Anyway, he was very, very good against Celtic to answer your question, and I'm very happy that he's here. He looks like a good defender, even if he's going to be here for 6 months and then we'll never see him again. I'll be quite happy with that.
I mean, I know what my first was. The statement would be to any question, like oh, why like what was it? And have you come to Hearts? What do you want to like achieve? What do you think the club? It would be Andy Halliday for every question, literally every question, literally.
They'd have to have a restraining order against you. You
I
wouldn't be
mean,
allowed.
they wouldn't let me near fucking was it tiny mate fucking hell. I mean, so in that same was sense of well, like of course we will like sort of talk about the game as we sort of go along as well, but for the small amount of time as well, while he was on the pitch as well, was it cool? I don't know how long he actually got. Was it 15 or 20 minutes? Like something like
There or
that, you
thereabouts,
know.
yeah.
Again, like he didn't get much opportunity to like to shine, as we've all heard. But again, just from that chance at the end, like where we caught them at lag on the break, like he did like sort of everything, like like of what was it like of what we would expect like sort of any player to actually do in that situation. So again, like as far as like is was it playing for was it for 20 minutes? Was it like it was Seemed all right.
Yeah, definitely. Really talented. As I mean, we spoke about him a bit in the last episode, obviously. But yeah, the loan deal confirmed. I loved all the social media posts that the club were putting out. You know, I don't know if you've seen them, the unveiling when he comes into the
Yeah.
stadium and he goes in the dressing
Oh
room, and you've
mate.
got Atkinson, Rolls, and Devlin holding the shirt and all that. It was nice, to be fair.
Just
The
while we're
social
up,
media.
yeah. Sorry, Alan.
No,
Like,
no,
please
no.
go
On you
on.
go.
I'm just, I'm
No,
gonna.
I was just gonna say the social media team need a raise for that. To be honest
Oh,
with you, I thought
mate.
it was
Well,
brilliant. Some of the stuff that they were putting out was brilliant.
well, saying that, like, I don't actually have my phone on me, but you know, like, exactly what I'm gonna say. So while I say it, you can was a grab it like in your phone, just for some of the fantastic, brilliant, fantastic, would like to say suggestions, from all was that like you guys as well. So Alan, it popped up a post kind of was it during the week went before was it Aussies we now got like in team. So and it was interesting in case you've not saw it. So you ultimately had Rose, Cool, Devlin, and Atkinson as well, almost looking like the ultimate was Aussie was a boy band, and we asked you guys to like to give was it suggestions for the names to like was it like to caption this. So some of them were absolutely fucking crackers. So Alan, you wanted to do was it just was it point out some of the ones?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had a lot of responses. So thanks for that. I saw the post and I just thought I have to like they looked like a
Absolutely.
boy band all sitting
Yeah.
there. But yeah, so a couple of the ones off the top of my head, and I've got it in front of me now. So I'll reel off a couple. I've got a couple of personal favourites. There was one from at Captain Jamtart on Twitter, and it was the Backstreet Gorgie Boys, which I thought was quite good. We also had Pool and the Garang was a suggestion by a lot of people, which I thought was quite fun. What else have we got? What else have we got? There's one in particular that I'm looking for. One that I quite liked, which is obviously a tribute to Maroon 5. We had Maroon 4,
Fuck off.
um,
No,
which was quite clever.
that's pish banner. That is
Uh,
utter pish banter.
we had, what else did we have? We had the Wizards of Oz, which I thought was quite good.
Sorry.
I know there are some that are brilliant, and some that are a wee bit near misses, but I quite like them. We had the best one, or one of the ones that you were a fan of, was Ozzy Osbourne, which I thought was quite
That
good.
was absolute top draw, top draw.
Also, Devlin's Midnight Runners, another good shout from
Devlin's
at Mikey
midnight.
Cano 81.
Fuck aye.
Also, my personal favourite from, I think a couple of people suggested it, but I'm just scrolling, and the first one that I've seen was Richie Ingalls on Twitter replied with the down undertones, which I thought was very clever. Also, I don't know if you saw, but at the Edinburgh Derby, Hibs on their social media posted when they put their team lineup out, they said it's the men versus Hearts. So
Yeah.
somebody's made a nod at that and said, surely call them men at work. And what else have we got? What else have we got? There was another one that I can't quite find now, and I've lost it.
Well, was it was it
There it is. There it is.
go on.
This is a personal favourite of mine. It's the Red Hot High B Scalpers, which I thought was quite good. The name of the person that suggested it is escaping me. I can't find it now, but it's
there, Alan. But yeah, but like was it on that note, like I said,
I could be here all day, mate. I could
literally,
be here all day. There's so many of them.
literally, hence why, man. But yeah, to everybody, was it? Thank you so much for like for all your amazing suggestions as well. It was absolutely class. But on that note as well, we've obviously still to see a bit of was it of you Taro Oda like as well. So it'll be interesting to see him in action when he gets the chance. So yeah, I guess we could talk about what was the game as well. Obviously, I think it would only be right to start off with the amazing the display from the ultras as well. Obviously, like it wasn't too long ago that the Rudy, like the most Hearts fans will know, um, that what was it that he sadly was it passed away last week at the age of 9. Absolutely was a horrible scenes, of course, but what the club did and how like the fans got involved as well. Obviously, like not on the ninth minute, we what was it? Had him look like a minute like applause as well, which was great to see. The banner from the goal, like the ultras as well was fantastic, and a nice touch that I thought honestly, like Jenny was a wee was a tear like sort was a jerker like as well, like with the most folk was it getting their nails was it painted like as well. Was it like you saw the likes of McKinley and Savage as well? Like was it like getting involved? I just thought like sort of overall like was this such a nice was it touching thing to actually do, Alan? Yeah,
Yeah, no, definitely. As you say, just tragic. He's passed away after a long battle with illness. Yeah, it's never nice to see these sorts of things, and obviously, for someone so young, it's a tragedy.
yeah,
To be fair, the club posted up all the fundraising links if you wanted to donate to the charities and all the rest of it. So hopefully, I would encourage people to do so. I haven't done so as yet, but I certainly will be. The club, it's one of those things we seem to do these things very well, and I don't know if it's because of like the whole Zaliukas and the MND Scotland and all that kind of stuff. We seem to take these issues, to heart, to pardon the pun, but yeah, I thought in the eighth minute the stadium was loud, as it should be. The club, as I say, they did very well, and I think as well from memory, the players maybe put the ball out of play,
yeah.
or the game kind of slowed down a bit, because obviously, I mean, it's a tragic event, and it was certainly observed in a very very good way, in a very fitting way. They obviously had his picture up on the big
Yeah,
screen as well of him at Tynecastle. So yeah, it was a very touching moment, and one that was observed impeccably. And even the St.Mirren fans as well, they joined in and obviously were aware of what was happening. So it was a nice gesture.
absolutely. And to all that got involved, like was it like the Echo Allen, like everybody done a fantastic job. And we will leave a link was it to the donations was it for you want to get involved as well. So yeah, was it I would say that was a nice wee send off. So but in terms of the game, Alan, do we want to talk about the goal and the save from Zander Clark and then just move the fuck on? Literally.
Pretty much, pretty much. I mean, the um the game lacked any real quality
Yeah,
from either side, to be
it
honest. But
really did.
it was pretty much the same as the game away just last week.
Hmm.
Very similar. Not a lot. I say not a lot between the two sides. I do think we were comfortable
Hmm.
on Friday night, but yeah, it just lacked any real spark. We had a few moments, but the main one was obviously, as you spoke about, was the goal from Barry Mackay. Sorry, pardon me. It was a very very well worked move, a lot of passing, and you could see what we were. That's how Robbie wants this Hearts team to play when playing that shape. And Barry was. It was really really good to see him score. And
Hmm.
just the link up, as I say, was fantastic. And it was Shankland and Halliday that were involved as well. So yeah, it was a really, really well taken finish. But again, I said it when he scored recently that Barry Mackay doesn't score bad goals. I've yet to see him score a scrappy one, or I've yet to remember him scoring a scrappy one. He seems to be only capable of hitting them from first time shots or just outside the box. He likes to whip them into corners, which is exactly what he did again. Um, but yeah, I mean, Barry this season has not been anywhere near what he was last year.
No.
But he scored more goals already this season than he did last year. So
Yeah, strange one.
might not be assisting as many, but he's certainly scoring them. And that's, if you can't have assists, then I'll happily take him scoring goals every week.
And yet, I believe, if I'm right in saying I might be wrong, but I believe that Andy Halliday is now officially the highest like assister, because I'm pretty sure he got the last touch before with like Kylix, or was it popped it in. Man, we were speaking here 2 years ago about the mediocrity of that man, and now you could arguably say that like that I wouldn't say that he's one of the most important members in the team right now, but in terms of form for the last month or so, he's been on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we missed him. Like I said, we missed him against St.Mirren last week. So having him back was nice. He's just solid. He's taken that sort of Michael Smith, Mr. Consistent role. Not that Michael Smith isn't, but Andy Halliday seems to be kind of doing it now as well, which is great. It was nice to see him in the box, and then obviously Barry Mackay just makes the wee run round the corner, and Halliday just lays it into him really well. But yeah, I think Andy Halliday has done a lot to prove people not so much wrong, but I think, like you said, he's kind of changed a lot of people's opinions about him, and that's obviously a massive positive. But yeah, as I say, it wasn't the most exciting of games, but certainly good to have him back after his head knock that he got in the game before St. Mirren.
Speaking of which, is somebody trying to kill him, by the way? Because he also got a head knock literally at like on the game as well. But what I found, so I don't know if it was two head. So he got elbowed early in the first half. I mind that much, and then I'm pretty sure it was later on. No, sorry, it was the first half, I think, as well, where St.Mirren had a free kick, and then it just went fucking back smang like in to his head. Man, that hair was a transplant is not going fucking well, is it?
Not gonna last. It's gonna
No,
get rubbed off.
You could literally imagine. But saying as well, like, it's something I found hilarious, like as well. So we obviously know that Robbie as a manager can be very animated, like you say. Now, obviously, going back to the was it to the elbow? Was it Halliday? Mine. So like I didn't actually know that we had access to the wee screens that they have down in the dugout. Now I remember when it happened, Robbie didn't actually do anything in that sort of was it a moment, and then just typical Robbie just there. Well, it goes down, and then he's like, no, the screen, and then he comes back up. Literally, like typical, like you fucking tell him, son. But in that seems was a sense as well. So obviously, was it when we got into the second half? There was the red the card that he was shown as well. I don't like again like obviously we're going to sound a bit was it biased in that same sense, but do you not think it was like slightly harsh? Like it was almost as if the ref was almost just trying to look for an excuse to send him off, because he is quite an animated, but like sort of was it coach that every time the screen pans on him, it literally he should literally have his own was a personal fourth official like there, because like that's all he's doing. He's just literally just like, oh fucking so like he's constantly.
He does. He talks to them. He talks to them all the time. He loves a chat. Does Robbie?
Oh, he does. Man.
The one thing I liked was when he got sent off, they mentioned on the Hearts TV commentary that it's Robbie Neilson has now picked up more red cards as a manager for Hearts than he has as a player for Hearts.
Fuck off.
Which I quite liked. I don't think he got that many reds when he was a player off the top of my head. I don't really remember him getting sent off that much.
I think he did actually. No,
I think the decision to send him off in this game, I just don't understand. I get the first yellow was for, dissent or whatever it was.
Aye.
But the second one, I don't know. And Robbie himself said after the game, I've still not got a clue why I was shown a second yellow card.
Aye.
But we could go on and on about referees and stuff, and for want to not talk about them because I'm fed up talking about them. The referee on Friday night was horrendous. I thought he missed so many blatant yellows. The boy, Declan Gallagher at the back for St. Mirren, literally puts his arm across, I think it was Shankland or Barry Mackay, one of the two, early on in the game, and he doesn't book him. It was a yellow all day. But yeah, it's yet another one of these new referees that's in Scottish football now that clearly doesn't know what they're doing. And yeah, like I said, Robbie said after the game, I don't know why I was sent off. So I don't know. I don't know if you can appeal manager red cards. I know you can appeal player ones, but I'm not sure about management. But
I think you can.
I also don't know what games that means he misses now, if it's just the league or if it's the cup as well. But again, I don't know because I don't tend to keep an eye on these things. But yeah, Robbie loves a moan. I don't know if you saw it as well. There was a moment with Gordon Forrest on the bench and the St Mirren manager, Steve Robinson. They kind of clashed as well, and I wouldn't back Stephen Robinson in that fight. He looks like an absolute unit as well. Like I wouldn't mess with him.
No, man, I get you.
We've got quite a between him and Lee McCullough's shining teeth. I think
literally,
we're
that's
well
all he has to do.
Everything.
That's literally all he has to actually do. Blind the fucker. Like literally, that's all. That's literally all he has to do. But I know you said that, we get sick of talking about the refs in general, but even this week, not just with us, but literally more specifically handballs, me personally, I have lost track of what is constituted as a handball, what is not constituted as a handball. We obviously had the main incident with Kai Rose, which I'm sorry, and we can be was it biased here, but that was 100% a stone waller. That was from me, anyway. And then you had the incident with Celtic and Kelly as well. You also ridiculous amounts of incidents with Connor was Goldson of the Rangers as well. But mate, that boy loves a handball.
He's their new number one, is he not?
Literally. So as far as I'm aware, now I only saw this being applied to the Premier League, so I don't know if the same rules was it apply up here, but from what they were trying to describe and what they were trying to create as well. So I'm pretty sure was the Crouch and Savage as well, I think. So basically, if the ball comes at you from a relatively short distance, and you're sort of doing that, just almost cover your face, that's not a penalty because that's a natural position and a reaction for your hands to be in if it's coming at you from a short distance. However, what constitutes as an unnatural position for your hands to touch you was it being? Because me generally, I don't know. Was it Kai Rowe's hand in an unnatural position? Was Smith's hand and was it in was a natural position against Celtic? Literally, because if the shoe was on the other foot, against St. Mirren, and it was then that I'd be fucking raging. And if we had lost that game, you know what I mean? I'd be absolutely fuming.
Yeah, I agree. I have no idea what the rule is, as you say. I know that they have a rule where it's again, I don't know if it's in England because I think they've refined it over the last
Yeah.
few years thanks to VAR's interventions in these things. But I think the rule down south is the t-shirt line, like the top of the t-shirt
Mm.
line, is not a handball, but any lower than that, it is a handball. Um, Regardless, I mean, obviously depending on, like you say, whether it's deliberate or not. But
Mm.
there's so many variables, and it seems to just be up to the referee at the time, whoever that referee may be, whether it's a penalty or not.
Mm.
And like VAR in general, they all just seem to be doing their own thing. And it doesn't seem like there's a hard and fast no, this is the rule, this
Mm.
is what it needs to be, and this is how it needs to be interpreted by everyone. And like I put a poll up on Twitter as well, as you know, I like to do a poll every now and again. And I asked the people, was it a penalty for you or not? And we had aye and no. We had aye 49%, no 51%. So it shows you
But
that's how
again,
balanced it was. And
nobody knows though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there was some
no,
people,
no,
like, would be some people think no. Like,
I think for me, and it's kind of the last thing I'll sort of say about it, because we could go round and round for
aye.
hours about it. But as I say, I don't think anybody really knows 100% what the rule is. And that's fine for you or I or your average fan in the stand, but the referees don't seem to know. And, they're the ones that are in control. They're the ones that are meant to be in charge. And they're the ones that are meant to be making the decision.
Scary shit.
As you say, we've seen it multiple games this season that it seems to just be up to the referee. I think for me, you asked if I thought it was a penalty. I thought it was. However, the reasons that I don't think it was given, and the only sort of reasons I can kind of draw as to why I don't think it was given, was because the ball was going out of play anyway. Kai Rolls was turning, so his arms were in a natural position for when you turn. So that is
Again,
really
yes.
they're the really only two factors that I can think of as to why it wasn't given.
Mm.
But yeah, like I said, if I was a St. Mirren fan or I was Stephen Robinson, I would be fuming as well because, maybe if the rules are actually applied properly, it might have been a penalty because we've seen penalties like that given.
Mm.
So it's yeah, the whole handball rule needs to be clarified for everyone because you're hearing managers every week talking about it now, and Postecoglou, it gives him something else to moan about.
Oh, don't even
But
fuck.
it's there's lots of things about VAR and things like teething problems that were always going to happen. But handball rule is something that needs to be fixed or needs to be clarified because it's a disaster right now.
But I guess one of the other things that we can was it talk about is Zander Clark's glorious right leg. Uh, I mean, that's the second double save that he's made. I know that the one like against Hibs, like we were like, I'd like to say that we were like sort of was out of the sight by that point, but it was sorry, it was equally like sort of as in deporting. But I think it it gives me hope as well, like in the sense because obviously to fill the shoes of like our glorious man was Craig Boy, who was actually like in attendance at the actual game. Oh mate, he still looks as beautiful as ever. But in that same sense as well, I mean, what's been your like assessment of Zander Clark so far? I believe that's only his third or fourth game so far, and that's two clean sheets, if I'm right in saying. Yeah,
I think so.
yeah,
The games have all just come thick and fast, but
yeah. I know.
yeah, he's certainly showing why we wanted him.
Mm,
The thing was Zander Clark was a fantastic goalkeeper for St Johnstone when he was
yeah,
there, and I was actually genuinely surprised that they let him go on a free
yeah.
contract. I don't quite know how that happened, and I've just not really kept up with it. But no, since he's been in the team, he's been solid. The one thing that I like that I've seen from him is his kind of command of that area.
Mm,
And he seems to be. I'm not saying Gordon wasn't, but Gordon was very much a stay on my line goalkeeper. You know, not one to come out and catch or come out and punch unless he absolutely had to. Whereas Zander Clark seems to be that way. He seems to be, no, I'm not going to stand on my line and catch it. If I think I can get it, I'll go and punch it away or I'll go and catch it, which helps the defense massively because it means they don't have to do that work, you know.
However, sorry to
No, no,
was it that like was it a counter? But there have you're right. Like he's not scared to actually get the what was to actually what was it come out and was and they get the ball. However, he has had a few like I think it was once in that game and actually in the game last week as well where he can kind of seem a bit like not unsure of himself, but like I mean, the one that kind of sticks out where he tried to get the ball and he actually ends up with it clattering into Halliday, like I think it was. So there can be some was it Nairi moments, but overall as a whole, like I think he's been great, and I think again, like we've talked about it quite a lot in the sense of having a stable was it number two there. Obviously we've not had that for a long time, but in the same sense as well, it's nice to see that when this was a kind of thing happened because obviously we never thought that Gordon would get like was it such a horrible like was it an injury which
yeah.
will pay him out for stable, but it just puts my faith back into who we have behind the six, like because we said before, Gordon, Christ Almighty, but yeah, like it's good to see that like as well, and obviously you also had Steve Clark in attendance like as well. I'm going to naturally like assume that it was more for Shankland as well. But again, I know that he's been out for like a long time. He's only played a small bit, but again, just ask you if his form kind of keeps up and if he does like was it produce like was it more was it a clean sheets for us in general, because I think that's something that we've not really had that much throughout this year. So I mean, would you like to maybe throw his hat into the ring to take like the number one for Scotland as well, at some point?
There's a shout
Oh,
for it, to be
oh,
honest. I
nervy
think there's
there,
a
Alan.
shout for it. No, I think there's a shout for it. I think to me, like you said, Steve Clark was in attendance and to watch Shankland, and Shankland will get into the next Scotland squad. There's no
Oh,
doubt about that.
absolutely.
Um, but yeah, Zander Clark, he does have a shout. He does because Gordon was Scotland's number one, and quite clearly was Scotland's number one. In terms of other options, I don't know. I mean, there's David Marshall, but I don't know if he's
Oh,
retired from
oh,
international
get
football
to
now. I'm not. I'm
fuck.
not. I'm. I feel like he's
Get.
retired from international football. Yeah, he might. He might as well have retired from football in general because the fact he's
No,
going to Hibs, he might as well do. But
well, man, like he made one good save, which was a
yeah,
penalty got us like in to the Euros, and yet
yeah.
I'm sorry to say, but he had a shambles. Was it during that tournament, and like the third goal that we scored against them, like can you know what I mean?
I don't. This is the thing, and this is why I think Zander Clark has as good a shout as anyone because I don't really see who the alternative to Gordon is
Hmm.
for Scotland,
Yeah.
and I think Zander Clark should certainly be in amongst it.
Hmm.
He should be in the conversation without question. Still very early for him in terms of Hearts career wise, but
Aye, no, of course.
very impressive. And that double save that we kind of brushed over a little bit
Yeah, sorry.
was no, I mean we brushed over it with good reason. But it was a really good save, and he did it as well as you say in the Hibs game at points where we needed him to make that save. It's similar context as the Hibs game as well. If they score that then it's back on again. If St Mirren score, it's back on again. But
Mm.
yeah, he looks a very, very solid goalkeeper, and he speaks very well as well. I don't know if you saw
Yeah.
the aftermatch interview that he gave, and he was basically saying he's like, I'm enjoying it, and keeping clean sheets is what a goalkeeper wants to do. So it's nice that he's been able to do that, and I think the fact that I'm not saying we've got more of a solid or settled defense, but I do think that kind of helps a little bit because we've been able to pick similar players.
Yeah.
James Hill obviously came in and started and looked solid, as we said earlier. But yeah, it's nice to see us looking. I mean, we still have a little bit of an edge about us defensively. There's still kind of worries, but I think we look a lot better than we have done. And I think that's a combination of Zander's saves and his kind of shouting at people, but also the fact the defense just seems to be a bit more, they're getting used to each other. The only slight concern that I have from the St Mirren game, I don't know what you thought, but Ty Rolls didn't look at it for me, and he's
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if there's a conversation to have there, but I like Kai Rolls. I rate him very highly, but I don't know if it's maybe just like post World Cup. I think Kai maybe needs a bit of a rest because you think about it, like he came back from his injury literally weeks before the World Cup
Yeah.
started. Then he got called up for the Australia squad, quite rightly so. Went and played every game at the World Cup, I believe. And he's come back and he's just played every game for us as well. I feel like I'm not saying we rushed him back from injury because we didn't, because he was clearly ready to come back. But I feel like he's played a lot of football in a short period of time. And I think the only takeaway from the St Mirren game that I was a little bit disappointed with was the fact that Curtis Main, in particular, won a lot of balls against Kai Rolls, and yeah, there's
Yeah.
little bits of me that are like maybe Kai needs a rest, but maybe we don't have the defensive options to be able to rest him, which is the issue.
Yeah, true. I mean, I do get where you're coming from. Like, I don't think he had the most convincing game. I thought to a certain extent, I thought he had a good game, but even for Hibbik as well, there were parts of like the game that I thought were a bit not like his was a usual self. But yeah, I mean, with Rose, I mean, it didn't concern me as much to actually think whoa, like what's it like? What was it going on here? I mean, who knows? Like, I think the reasons that you've gave are perfectly valid, or like it could almost be just be like as was it as simple as like for that game was it like he just didn't was it have a good game, like like I mean, because I thought the squad like like we like we said at the start, like I mean, like the game wasn't amazing, and I don't think there were any kind of like particular standouts as such, like apart from maybe like Hill and Cochrane as well. But apart from that, I don't particularly think there were any particular standouts. And I do agree, like you said, I don't think Rolls was at his absolute like sort of the best as well. But uh, like I mean, like we all like sort of like was it have opinions, and I guess it just it kind of it comes down to Robbie that if he thinks he like was it in the like was in needs a rest, then he will do. But like I mean we can kind of take that into next week because like apart from the Humphreys miss, there was a chance there wasn't like sort of the much else to actually was talk about. But I
How
mean,
has he missed that, by the way? How did he miss
oh
that? Sorry to
dude,
interrupt you, but
the
how did he miss that?
gritty to ready, mate. Honestly,
Oh, I can't believe it.
I know, like
Oh,
literally. I mean, but again, the only kind of positive I can maybe take from that is that he's where like he's meant to actually be. Like it would be
yeah.
worse, like was it like if he wasn't there to take the like the shot, but. Yeah, it is an
Yeah.
absolute fucking sitter. Absolute sitter.
Oh, it's crazy. But like, just quickly before we move on as well, the other one thing I want to talk about was, obviously we spoke about him earlier, was Garang Kuhl coming off the bench. I
Yeah.
think he got 15, 20 minutes, as you say, made two very good runs. The first one being when he was running through on his own and Humphreys had the ball.
Mm.
And Humphreys should have played it to him. He was completely free on the right hand side of the pitch. Humphreys went left and we lost the ball. The second one, obviously, was the Humphreys chance, and Garang plays a perfect pass to him
Yeah.
right into Humphreys' path. So, yeah, on another day, Garang Kuhl comes off the bench with 20 minutes to go and he gets a goal and an assist.
Yeah.
If we
Imagine.
if we played it right, if we played it right. But yeah, like it's again something that I didn't mention at the start when we were talking about the team selections and stuff. I thought the bench looked a lot better um, this week. With obviously we had Cool, Oda, and Humphreys on the bench. That if that lined up as a forward three in the starting 11, you're talking obviously. I'm not saying it would have been ahead of Shanklin, Mackay, and Gino on current form,
Yeah.
but I would be quite happy with that as a three as well. So it shows you, the two loan sign or the loan signing of Cool and obviously the permanent for Oda. There's plans there and there's depth now in the
Mm-hmm.
forward areas, and I think that'll help the likes of Barry Mackay and Gino and Shankland as well to an
Mm.
extent, because they'll know if we have a bad game, there's somebody there that can come in and take the position. And Cool, certainly off the bench, albeit it was 20 minutes, looked good. Yet to see Oda. I don't know. I'm assuming his English is not very good, or maybe he doesn't speak English, because there was no like interviews with him when he arrived and
No,
all that,
no.
because he
Of
was he
course,
was
yeah.
announced on the same day as the others. But yeah, it's nice to have options, and I thought, as I say, the bench was very solid against St Mirren, and it felt like if we needed to make the changes to try and win the game, if it was 0-0, then we had those options on the bench. But yeah, it wasn't a classic. It was far from a classic. As I said earlier, a few moments of quality, nothing really to write home about other than a goal. But it's a mark of a.
Sounds like
It
me, sorry.
sounds like me and all me. It's a. That's why we sit and do
There we
this.
go. We managed to get one joke in, like was on the most filthiest episode ever. Well done, boy. Honestly, I'm proud of us.
But
Sorry.
no, it was. You've got me going there. It was. Yeah, it was
No.
just not. It wasn't a classic, but the
No.
mark of a good side is winning these kind
Yeah.
of games. And just before we move on to talking about Aberdeen in midweek, Stephen Robinson came out after the game and said that he felt that they should have got something out of the game and that they were unlucky. And I totally disagreed with him, because aside from the Zander Clark double save, I don't really remember them doing anything.
Uh, yeah. I don't. It would be a lot to say that they maybe deserved something out of the game, but what I will say to their credit, like I'm not saying like for the whole game, but for large parts of the game, like they did kind of stop us from from was it playing like sort of our like sort of like the way, and especially like at the time Castle as well. I think like outside of like of was Ibrox and Celtic was a Park as well. I think you could argue that it's the hardest place to come. So, but I'll give them the credit from when we played the at home and last week away as well. I thought they actually did quite well. Was it all things considering, but I think it was a bit of a long shot to say that they deserved something out of the game. But I mean, like you said, it wasn't the greatest game, but like you said, the mark of like a good team is to still it was a grind out was a like a performance. So and that's all like sort of what was it mattered. But as we look ahead to next week, obviously we've got quite a few was the teams and like amongst the mix for third. Obviously Livingston jumped into fourth just last week there with a 4-2 win. Was it Motherwell they played, or like I can't remember, but but um obviously, like we said relatively earlier at the start, that I would expect them to kind of be there or thereabouts. So we're at home on the Wednesday night. What are your thoughts? Like, because obviously Aberdeen is a team. I don't know. I wouldn't go as far to say as that I fear them, but I sometimes think again, apart from Celtic and the Rangers, I always feel that they can potentially get something like when they come to Tiny. And especially when we go to Tordray like as well, I fucking hate it there. So, what are your thoughts? Do you like expect us to kind of just like like to absolutely was it steam was a roll them, or do you think it'll be a bit more was it that was it difficult than at first said?
think it'll be an interesting game. I
Mm,
think Aberdeen, they were not in great form. They've lost 3 of their last 5 games,
mm,
but they drew and then they won, as you say. Um, they've actually, as we're recording this, they were playing Rangers in the semi-final of the cup, and it went to extra time, and they had a man sent off. So I don't know whether the red card will carry over into the league. I'm not sure how that works, but they also had their boy. They've got that forward called Duck, who's done very well for them. He supposedly went off injured. I was just looking at the updates there just
mm,
while we were chatting. So he's gone off injured. So you hope that he's had a good season for Aberdeen. So it would be nice for him not to be available. Yeah, I mean they've played 120 minutes tonight against Rangers at Hampden. The pitch at Hampden looked horrendous from the
oh,
picture I've just seen. So
utter
it's
garbage. Yeah.
maybe that might well work in our favour because we've had a couple of extra days of rest. Um, but yeah, look, Aberdeen are a decent side, as you say. They're up there. Their form heading in, as I say, is not brilliant. Their away record is not fantastic either. They've only got 7 points from 10 games that they've played away from home, whereas our home record is the 4th best in the league. So, that again, you know me, and I love a stat, and all the stats do look as if we're the home side. Let's get a
Mm,
win. But yeah, it would mean a lot to get a win. Obviously, it would put us further clear in 3rd place, which has to be the priority.
mm.
Um, do I think we'll win? I mean, we might as well. Shall we skip
Yeah,
to predictions straight away? Shall we?
yeah, man, let's do it.
I think I would like to see, and I know it might be too soon, but I'd like to see Oda and I'd like to see Cool at some point because, as I say, Aberdeen have just played 120 minutes against Rangers. There might still be some tired legs there. There might still be some issues there. So if we've got our quick players, let's go at them and see what we can do. Tynecastle under the lights Wednesday night more than likely will be, if not a full house, it'll be up there, close to a full house, I would imagine. Yeah, these are the games. These are the games that you have to win, and it's
Mm.
it's a big game. I said it when we went away to St.Mirren. If somebody offered me a point beforehand, I would have taken it. If somebody offers me a point at Tynecastle against Aberdeen, there's maybe an element of I would take it, but I'd be very, very disappointed because I
Mm.
feel like we've got enough to win. I don't think Aberdeen's defence is up to much. So yeah, like let's go for a Hearts win. Obviously, I'm gonna go. I don't know whether we'll get a clean sheet or not. I'd love another clean sheet. It'd be brilliant. But I'm gonna go for a 2-1 victory to the Hearts, and I feel like that's the only scoreline I ever predict these days.
That's fair,
And
man.
one of these days, I'll be right. But yeah, I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win for the famous. What about you?
Nice one. I don't know why, but I've kind of got elements that it will be kind of the same game, like against St. Mirren, like at home. I don't know why I think that, but I don't. I think it's going to be a very end-to-end game. Again, I know we have to take into like account with Aberdeen as well, and there might be some injuries there and some tired legs, but it's just the kind of game that I could see like there not being kind of much happening. Maybe it's was it like maybe like you said was it just the after like effects was it like the game on Friday night? But I think I'm gonna go for a very scrappy 1-0 win to the Heart. But I was to take that like was in any day. Before we wrap things up, Alan, obviously we won't have a podcast out before the game, so we can wrap things up with a tiny preview for the Scottish Cup game next week as well, at Easter Road as well. So I think that one is going to be an interesting one. Obviously, like again, like even after that game, we've still seen what was a Lee, but was it Johnson throwing every single player under every bus he can fucking find. But again, just to kind of will I get your thoughts on that? So obviously, the last time we played it ended up a draw. So what are you thinking? Do you think that we could actually come out with a win, or do you think there might be an element to maybe hold it for a replay, maybe? Or
I think that I don't know what I think. I really don't know. I genuinely don't. Because I think we'll probably see some new Hibs signings by then, because Lee Johnson seems to think that his squad of 50 players is not enough and he needs some more. There's lots of chat that it'll be Ryan Porteous's last game because he's apparently holding out leaving or holding out moving before we play them. So if it's his last game, I hope he's in tears at the end.
Bless his heart.
Yeah, I hope he's crying at the end. Yeah, it would be nice to get a win. It would be nice to go on a cup run this season. Do I think we'll win, or do I think we can win? Yes,
Yeah,
because we've seen that. We beat them 3-0. Okay, it was at Tynecastle, but we beat them 3-0 without really getting out of first gear in the last game. I think it'll be tough, but apparently Hibs are struggling to sell tickets for it. Surprise.
By the way,
we sold out. We sold out weeks ago.
By the way, let's fucking talk about it, right? Like, I'm sure you've seen the picture, like their last was it home game. Sorry, is that fuck 18,000 fans? That is utter pish. What? Like, I'm sorry, the spaces was more than the actual folk that were there. Like,
oh yeah. But Hibs fans in general, and I'll say this, to the ones that I know personally as well, they tend to only go to Easter Road when things are good, and when they're in good form and they're playing well. But the minute that things don't go well, they just call it a day and don't bother going. But yeah, look, that's Hibs, isn't it? That's just Hibs for you. And at the moment, we've spoken about them previously. Things are not great at Hibs right now.
Nah.
And hopefully we can pile on the misery and put them out the Scottish Cup and send Ryan Porteous wherever he's going in floods of tears. It would be quite nice.
Wonderful, mate. Wonderful. Well, in that sense, I don't know why. I've got the feeling that it might be a draw. Obviously, like you said, it would be great to beat them there, and to send them out. But I've just got a funny feeling that it might be a draw. So in that note, I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw.
Fair enough. And to be honest, I could see that. And I know, like, I'm talking obviously full of confidence and all the rest of it. And I am full of confidence because I just think we look good at the moment. And as I say, I'd love to see us win. If we got a draw, would I complain about it? No. But I think it would be a massive missed opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what the situation is with Lee Johnson at Hibs. I don't know whether he's on a tightrope or his rant after the Edinburgh derby has maybe made the board sit up and take notice and go, right, we need to change things. They're apparently wanting to bring in a director of football as well. So they've obviously learned some lessons from what Lee Johnson has said. However, a loss or another loss to your Edinburgh derby rivals so soon after getting pumped 3-0, that could see him back in the job centre, which would be quite harsh, to be fair. But for our amusement more than anything else.
Yeah.
Did I give a scoreline prediction? I don't think I did.
No, you did not, sir.
I will go for a. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to go for a. See, I've said 2-1 win against Aberdeen, so I might as well
Just
say
do
2-1
it.
win against
Do it,
Hibs as
mate.
well.
Do it.
Fuck it.
Why change,
I'm
mate?
2-1. Fuck it. Let's go. Shanklin at the double with a penalty.
Why change, mate? Why change? Well, hopefully the look like the two games was a go our way, and obviously as well, guys, we would love to hear your predictions for the two games as well. And yeah, that brings us to the end of the 69th episode of the Since I Was Young podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian. Thank you very much as always, guys, for joining us. It as always was appreciated as well. And if you aren't subscribed, please thank you for subscribing. And if you want to check us out on our socials as well, they will be in screen and in the description as well. So thank you very much for joining us, Alan. Always a pleasure, sir, and we will see you all in the next one. You take care. Bye for now.